That was a wild one. That was so unexpected. We were in the first half, we were yawning. We were like, oh, this game is boring. It's not good basketball. Then all of a sudden, everything got spicy. JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball.
Holy hell, what just happened on that court will go down as the most insane, most brutal, most absolutely unhinged moment in basketball history. And I'm telling you right now, if you missed this, you missed witnessing a war breakout in real time. That had everyone losing their damn minds.
The Connecticut Sun. Dirty. Physicality people, if you want to call it that. Again, dirty.
Caitlin Clark just got jumped, attacked, and assaulted on live television, and what happened next was so explosive, so violent, so completely out of control that security couldn't stop it. Coaches couldn't stop it, and the referees were running for their lives while an all-out brawl erupted that made hockey fights look like kindergarten playground disputes. This wasn't basketball anymore. This was survival, and Caitlin Clark's teammates were ready to burn the entire arena down to protect their superstar from what was nothing short of a coordinated assassination attempt disguised as a basketball game.
10-point lead for the Fever. Midway point, third quarter. Sheldon all over Clark, and oh, they get into it a bit here. Lexi Hall now gets in Sheldon's face. Caitlin Clark hits the deck. Big Ten against Big Ten, Ohio State and Iowa, both in the same draft class last year.
It is getting spicy in Indiana.
Listen to me very carefully, because what I'm about to tell you is going to make your blood boil with rage. Caitlin Clark, the most electrifying player in women's basketball, the rookie who's been breaking records and changing the game, has been getting targeted, hunted, and brutalized every single night she steps on that court. But tonight, these players went too far and triggered something that nobody was prepared for. The crowd was electric, the energy was insane, and Clark was doing what she always does, making grown women look like children with her otherworldly talent. But you could feel the hatred radiating from the other team. You could sense the jealousy, the desperation, the absolute rage that this young woman was making them all look like amateurs on their own court. They weren't just playing defense, they were plotting. They weren't just being physical, they were being predatory. Every possession was a chance to hurt her. Every screen was a chance to send a message. Every moment was building towards something catastrophic. And then it exploded in the most vicious, most disgusting display of dirty play you've ever seen in your life. Clark was bringing the ball up, minding her own business, when bam! A finger shot directly into her eye like a dagger, followed immediately by a shove so violent it looked like she got hit by a truck. This wasn't a basketball play, this was assault.
So as you guys can see here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin Clark. She swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin Clark nudges her off because JC stays in her face. And then Tina Charles runs over and is kind of wagging her finger in Caitlin Clark's face. And then Marina Mabrey comes out of nowhere and chucks her to the floor.
Crack of the impact echoed through the arena like a gunshot. Clark went down hard, clutching her face, writhing on the floor in agony, while that savage who attacked her stood over her like she had just accomplished some great victory. The pair had words, and Clark's comments were interpreted by fans on social media. "I can do whatever the F***K I want to do," Clark appeared to say. Marina Mabrey and Tina Charles rushed in to defend their son teammate Sheldon, and in doing so, Clark was knocked to the floor. The entire building erupted. Fans were screaming, coaches were shouting, and you could feel the rage building like a tidal wave about to crash down on everyone in sight. Lexi Hall came flying in from the other side of the court, her face a mask of pure rage as she confronted not just the player who hurt Clark, but anyone in the opposing uniform who dared to get close.
As Debbie Antonelli said during the game, if the officials would do what they're supposed to do, a lot of this stuff would not happen.
The usually composed forward was transformed into a protective warrior, ready to fight anyone who even looked at her injured teammate the wrong way. But what happened next was absolute pandemonium that will haunt your nightmares. Kelsey Mitchell exploded off the bench like she was shot out of a cannon. She came flying across that court with murder in her eyes, ready to destroy anyone who dared to touch her teammate. The look on her face was terrifying, pure vengeance personified. She got right up in that player's face, screaming at the top of her lungs, "You want to play dirty? Let's go, let's freaking go right now." The veins in her neck were bulging, her fists were clenched, and she was ready to throw hands with anyone who wanted the smoke.
What did Tina Charles do? What did Marina Mabrey do? What did JC Sheldon do? And mind you, the reporters at the time, the announcers here are saying, of course, Marina Mabrey is going to get ejected because that was unwarranted. She literally came out of nowhere and chucked Caitlin Clark. There should be a flagrant one, of course, on JC Sheldon because she swiped her and hit her in the eyeball. Whether it is intentional or not, you can still have a flagrant a flagrant foul called on you, whether you are trying to intentionally hurt somebody or not.
The referees were panicking, trying to separate players who were ready to tear each other apart. But it was too late. The beast had been unleashed and there was no putting it back in the cage. The crowd was going absolutely berserk. Fans were on their feet, some trying to get on the court themselves, everyone demanding justice for what they had just witnessed. The security guards were overwhelmed, completely unprepared for this level of chaos and violence, but the most heartbreaking part was seeing Caitlin Clark, the toughest competitor in the game, reduced to lying on that floor. The trainers rushed out, trying to assess the damage while the brawl continued to rage around them. I'm fine, I'm fine. Clark was trying to shout through the pain, but her voice was weak, her vision was blurred, and everyone could see that she was anything but fine. The opposing coach was trying to restore order, but her players were scattered, some still trying to escalate the situation, others backing away from the WRATH of the Fever players who were ready to fight anyone and everyone. When the dust finally settled, when security finally managed to separate the combatants, when the referees finally regained some semblance of control, the damage was devastating. Technical fouls were being handed out like candy, players were being ejected left and right, and the entire game had turned into a battlefield. 3 technical fouls were issued: Clark, Mabrey, and Tina Charles. Sheldon's foul was upgraded to a flagrant 1. The building buzzed with tension.
Caitlin Clark, Marina Mabrey, Tina Charles were assessed with technical fouls on Tuesday. Caitlin, Marina, and Tina Charles. Technical fouls. That's it. Technical fouls. That's it. And JC Sheldon was assessed with a flagrant 1 foul, and no players were ejected.
But the most infuriating part was that the player who started it all, the coward who poked Clark in the eye and shoved her to the ground, was trying to act innocent. She was throwing her hands up, acting like she had no idea what all the fuss was about, like she hadn't just committed one of the most disgraceful acts in sports history. And fans are not quiet. Marina Mabrey's dirty attack on Caitlin Clark. Marina Mabrey got away with a criminal shove from behind against Caitlin Clark, who fell to the floor after she had already been poked in the eye. Mabrey only received a technical foul for the dirty and dangerous attack.
There's a scrape across the face. That's what Clark didn't like. And then Mabrey came in with a bump.
And Mabrey's day is almost assuredly going to be done. And it's contact to the face as well. It'd be interesting to know if they're going to look at that first one for a flagrant foul. There was an impact, there wasn't wind up or follow through, but there was a direct hit to the eye of Clark. Wow, is Mabrey going to stay in this game? That's hard to believe. What do you have to do to get ejected? If sprinting over and knocking a player to the ground in a dead ball situation doesn't get you ejected, what does it take to get ejected?
And you're right. That's the clear definition of it. Uncalled for, unnecessary, excessive, unsafe.
I don't know how you can look at that and say what Caitlin Clark...
Hashtag WNBA allows this because they haven't had eyes on them in 20+ years. Now they do, and it still needs fixing. The NBA isn't as physical as the W, and the refs suck. The replay showed everything in crystal clear detail. The deliberate eye poke, the malicious shove, the satisfied smirk on her face as Clark went down. There was nitrogen monoxide doubt, nitrogen monoxide question. No excuse for what had just happened. This wasn't basketball. This was a crime scene. This wasn't competition. This was attempted destruction of the most talented player in the game. And the fact that it took this long for someone to finally stand up and say enough is a disgrace to the entire sport. Caitlin Clark has been taking abuse all season long, getting hammered on every possession, dealing with cheap shots and dirty plays that would make an FL players cringe. But tonight, her teammates finally said nitrogen monoxide more, and were ready to burn the entire league down to protect their superstar.
Caitlin Clark was not going to be the same person she was last year. She was just getting her feet wet last year. There were people who were able to just treat her any way they wanted to treat her. I knew that she was going to come in with a certain swagger.
This brawl wasn't just about one dirty play. It was about months of accumulated frustration, weeks of watching their best player get targeted and abused, and years of seeing referees turn a blind eye to the kind of violence that has nitrogen monoxide place in basketball. The message was sent loud and clear. You want to hurt Caitlin Clark? You're going to have to go through an entire team of warriors who are ready to fight, scratch, and CLAW to protect what's theirs. This was the night that changed everything. The night that drew a line in the sand. The night that said targeting greatness will nitrogen monoxide longer be tolerated. And if you missed it, you missed witnessing the most explosive, most emotional, most absolutely unhinged moment in basketball history. That will be talked about for decades to come. Was the shove out of line? Did the refs lose control? Are players going after Caitlin Clark because she's great or because they can get away with it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe to stay locked in for every explosive twist this WNBA season delivers.